December 14th, 2025. All of the transcripts are finally edited, and I figured out how to get Calibre to read out loud to me. Okay, for anybody else trying to figure out how to get this work, open your ebook in Calibre, or how are you saying it? Calibre. Calibre.
I always thought it was like you're calibrating something.
I thought it was like a play on the word free, as in like it's I don't know what cal stands for. Maybe a catalog or something. That doesn't make sense. Anyways, right click and then click read aloud. And if it says, it'll take a few seconds to think about it. And if it then says, oh, there's an error. When you've clicked the read aloud thing, a little pop-up will show up in the top right corner. Click the little gears icon, and then there should be some thing saying like your profile or whatever. Just click like legacy or modern Windows thingy. Hand me that orange cloth. Forgot to clean the lens. It's dirty. Where's the camera? It's over here. Okay. Mine was set to whatever default calibre, however the fuck you're supposed to pronounce it. Mine was set to some weird default. There's like 3 options. Mine was set to the third one. The other 2 is like a legacy Windows something or other, and then a modern Windows something or other. My laptop is on Windows 10, so I put modern Windows, so now it works. And then you can also right click and then click profiles. I think that's where it is at. Oh, okay. Now, to change what voice, depending on your system, you go to the little, you click, right click, turn it on, and then click the gears in the upper little tiny box corner thing, and then click whatever language, and then whatever voices are downloaded to your computer, it'll start listing them out. But I'm gonna have the computer read what's in the book, because that means I have to talk less, because it gets very tiring. So we'll see if this will work. Gotta click it. It'll take a few seconds to think about it, but just for the record, we just got through Murderbot saying, oh yeah, I have a very simple plan to simply hack an automatic taxi that's not a person, and just sneak over and get what I want and then sneak away and have nobody know I was there. Perfect plan, completely morally neutral plan, because hacking a regular old taxi that's not a robot in disguise. It's not a robot in disguise. Yeah, it's not a robot in disguise. It's just a fucking taxi on autopilot. That is morally neutral. Unlike everything else that Murderbot has ever done, which is just torturing people for fun and murdering people. And that glue is so stinky.
We got arts and crafts over here.
There's arts and crafts going on with stinky glue. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's still stinky. Yeah, we just got done with Murderbot saying, yeah, my plan's good. Oh, wait, hold on. Because I think we read that interview after recording the last video. You know how I said, assuming you're watching all of these videos, you know how I said that I have literally always gotten time travel bullshit vibes? Let me make a bookmark. Can I make a bookmark? Well, okay, yeah, okay, new. Okay, well, I didn't make a bookmark for it. But you know how, assuming you're watching all these videos in proper order, which you should be, I said at the start of, right before Murderbot boarded Art and came to know that Art was even there, I said I've literally always gotten time travel bullshit vibes from this one description. From the very first time that I read it, it's just like pinging all of my, I love time travel. I love time travel. I love time loop stories. I love alternate universes. It's fun as hell. The one scene in here where Murderbot is going, it's boarded the space station and is going to the ship that it decided it was going to get on. And all of a sudden, before it gets there, it can't because a Hollerbot crashed or something like that. I don't remember the details. So now it's changing. Instead of going to the ship it originally planned on, it has to go to Art instead. And from the very first time I read this, that just seemed way too fucking convenient and out of nowhere with how the rest of this shit is written, because it's not like characters are constantly having to, reckon with a world that exists outside them. Because it's badly written. Like, that just doesn't happen in this series, and that's just from book 1, and it's always held true, except for this one weird as fuck moment that's just very fucking weird and out of place. So I've literally always gotten weird, freaky, creepy time travel vibes from it, like literally having me asking from the very first time I read this book, okay, are we going to get the reveal that somebody time traveled back in time at some point to force Murderbot to divert away from that original ship and get on board Art instead so that it meets Art earlier in the timeline? Because that's the vibe I'm getting here, and it turns out I'm literally fucking correct. Not in the way that I thought, but literally fucking correct. What?
I said not literally, but literally.
No, not literally in the exact. Literaturally. Literarily, I am correct. You know why I got time travel bullshit vibes of that is completely unnatural and something is off here? It's because I just found out from another interview of Martha Wells that somebody else pointed me to. Yeah, that's like that because she had an entirely different story written to begin with, and then she deleted all of that and then just changed and made that diversion to make Murderbot go meet Art instead, because she was originally... Huh?
I'm just giggling about the badness of what you're about to say. Continue.
Yeah. Originally, she literally planned to have the whole Murderbot gets a surgery to make it look more human. She literally is happy to admit that her original plan was to just reveal that as a single paragraph, as all of that shit happened off screen between book 1 and this one starting. That was her original plan. And she doesn't see, like, any problem with saying that that's what she was going to do. Like, she's not saying it as in, yeah, I realized that would be really fucking, that's just a terrible thing. How she phrases it, oh, that would make it seem like I'm writing something I don't even believe in. And it's like, that's what you're already doing. But, like, her literal plan was going to be that, oh, yeah, I will just casually reveal that all of this shit happened off screen. And it was just going to be a single fucking paragraph.
Probably a sentence.
Like, and then, yeah, I was literally right about the time travel bullshit and feeling like this shit is happening because to divert an entire alternate universe that originally happened in the original fucking timeline, and now this is being done to make Murderbot go meet Art, and that's literally what fucking happened. Martha Wells literally had an entirely different goddamn story written out, and then deleted all of that back to right there to make this happen instead. And then she still didn't actually edit that first section that she deleted everything back to, so that what she's writing now makes sense with what she didn't delete. Like, at that point, if you're only going to keep however much there was before that, which is not a lot at all, get rid of that too and start the whole thing from scratch, so it all makes sense and lines up. But she didn't do that. Which is why my fucking time travel bullshit vibes, alerts, not vibes, which is why the time travel fucking alarms were all going off. My fucking spidey senses. Literally, that's what happened. It's ridiculous. Anyways, we are now, according to Calibre, 35% of the fucking way through this story, which is just ridiculous because pretty much nothing has happened. Like, we don't actually, like, we could have spent all this time not really progressing the actions itself, but we could have been getting to know Murderbot better, or at least getting to know Art in detail. But we're not doing any of those things. We're not actually getting to know the characters any better, and we're like, we don't know Murderbot any better than we did in book 1, and we don't really know Art at all, because it's just lying about everything, and Martha Wells is gonna retcon most of this shit later. And then so we're not getting to know the characters. We haven't spent 35% of the entire goddamn story fleshing out the characters more. We haven't fleshed out the world building, and we're not progressing the plot yet. 35% of the way through the story, and we haven't accomplished anything. So, yeah, we're now under an asterisk as Microsoft Zira is going to read off to us when I click read now. But, yeah, to sum it up for all the people skipping around at random instead of looking at the number at the start of the episode and thinking, if this is number 18 or 19, because I have an intermission, maybe I should go to episode 1. No, you're just reading, watching it at random. Yeah, Murderbot had just revealed, my plan is to sneak aboard a taxi, a thing I can do without any effort whatsoever, because remember, everything that's not company technology is so easy to hack. It doesn't take any effort at all. So Murderbot can do this so easily. It was just gonna be a stealth mission when Murderbot has 100 sneak. Like, me and fucking Skyrim literally no, that was Oblivion. I didn't know who Manny Marco was, but I perfectly shot him and snuck my way back out of the cave without anybody noticing. I wasn't even paying attention to the quest. This is from years and years ago. Like the time I perfectly shot somebody in Skyrim in the ankle, which is what I was aiming for, and it was delightful. Like, Murderbot, it would be so fucking easy for it to simply just hack a goddamn autopilot taxi. It's literally an automobile. Literally an automobile. Why do we pronounce mobile like that instead of mobile?
British.
An automobile. Oh yeah, I guess it is British. It would have been literally effortless for Murderbot to just hack a thing, sneak over, sneak around there, sneak back, and then it's done. But Art has suggested, no, actually what you, the runaway slave who's trying to avoid attention, what you should do is create a fucking paper trail to prove that you were here and put yourself in front of all the cameras, in front of all the fucking things, and just make a paper trail. And it's like, why? This is not providing any benefits whatsoever towards Murderbot's well-being, anything like that. Like, it would be one thing if we were saying, you need money because you, like, just say it's actually not possible to hack the money thingies, money systems, and that, like, yeah, you can try hacking shit, but this will be a really easy way for you to make money, and it's probably the least dangerous way you can make money that you're gonna find as a runaway slave. So, like, you really cannot afford to pass up this opportunity to get money right now, because you're definitely gonna need that in the future. Like, we could have said something like that. But, you know, money doesn't actually exist in this universe, even though it's supposed to be criticizing capitalism. But, you know, the characters, they don't actually need money for anything, because, you know, they all conveniently don't fucking eat. And if they do eat, well, food's free. It's like, it's so fucking lazy and shallow. Anyways,
have we
so
ever seen them eat anything?
In
character.
home habitat range niche territory, they were sitting around drinking coffee and weird juice shit.
But, like, what are they eating for food?
Exactly.
What kind of things do they grow on preservation?
Exactly. We don't fucking know, because there's no goddamn world building. Alright, so let's see if I can right click. See if this will read out loud. It takes a bit of a
Once
pause.
Art was docked and the transit ring's bot-piloted tugs were removing the cargo modules, it cycled the lock for me and I slipped through into the embarkation zone. It had given me access to its comms so it could ride my feed through the transit ring. It claimed it could help me, and while I was skeptical of that, it could at least keep me company. As I walked away from the safety of Art's lock, I dropped back down to 96% efficiency. I hit the station entertainment feeds for new downloads to try to calm down.
Okay. Well, I guess just for a test video, I'll just have it read that, and then I'll just make this video shorter than the other ones. And then I'll just watch that to see if it was actually coming through at all, because I can't really put the phone closer to the speaker. So, anyways, ... or line break. Once Art was docked and the transit ring's bot-piloted tugs were removing the cargo modules, it cycled the lock for me and I slipped through into the embarkation zone. It had given me access to its comm, so it could ride my feed through the transit ring. It claimed it could help me while I was It claimed it could help me. That she's missing a comma. There should be a comma. See, okay, I had this. A few weeks ago, probably at this point. I read aloud the short story Man-Made by somebody whose name starts with an A. I forget the author's name. But that's a good story, but it's missing a lot of fucking commas, so it makes reading it out loud unnecessarily difficult, because the point of commas is to tell you when you're reading it out loud where to put emphasis, where to pause, all this kinds of shit. It's conveying so much information. Huh? Where to breathe, where to pause and breathe, because you're giving a statement stuff. We're missing a comma here. It claimed it could help me. There should be a comma after me. And while I was skeptical of that, comma, see, it did properly put a comma, Martha Wells did properly put a comma there, and while I was skeptical of that, see, the comma there helps us put emphasis on the word that, and also says pause, and then continue. So this sentence should be, it claimed it could help me, and while I was skeptical of that, it could at least keep me company. What we get instead is, because we're missing a fucking comma after me, it claimed it could help me, and while I was skeptical of that, it could at least keep me company. You see the difference? You can just pause this video and go to our channel and just look up the audiobook I made for Man-Made by, what's the author's name? I don't remember. Sorry, man. I don't remember what your name is. Yeah, duh. Obviously it's public domain, or I wouldn't be making an audiobook for it. You can listen to that and read along. I think I made that one so you can see it in the document. But you can see me stumbling over sentences, because it's like, dude, you just put a comma there so I know where I'm supposed to be doing stuff. I'm literally gonna have to edit commas into that on my own time, and then make another audio recording that's better, because I'll know where emphasis is supposed to be going. But anyways, yeah, we're missing a fucking comma. And again, I wouldn't be nitpicking all this shit if these were free to read online, but they're not free to read online. They're extremely fucking expensive for how short they are. Again, we're 35% of the way through this story already, and nothing has happened. Nothing has happened besides torturing Murderbot, and that only lasted, 4 pages. We're supposed to be breezing past that like there's no fucking tomorrow. Yeah. It claimed it could help me, no comma, but there should be, and while I was skeptical of that, it could at least keep me company. As I walked away from the safety of Art's lock, comma, again, so why, commas are in the correct spot the rest of this paragraph, why are we missing the one that's needed? As I walked away from the safety of Art's lock, I dropped back down to 96% efficiency. I hit the station entertainment feeds for new downloads to try to calm down. It's again, Art's claiming that it's going to help Murderbot with this mission that Art is sending Murderbot on, but it's you could have just made this a stealth mission. We could have at least been given the motivation of, you need money. I know you've been able to get by so far without money, but you stole those fucking clothes you're wearing from some other fucking poor person. I don't think you understand the consequences of that. Because Martha Wells sure as shit doesn't want us to think about the consequences for that. This is a capitalist dystopia, supposedly. What do you think happens if your uniform, which probably doesn't even belong to you, gets stolen from you as a poor person? It's not going to be anything good. But Martha Wells doesn't want us to think about that because she doesn't care about poor people. So we're not supposed to even notice that this is a problem that Murderbot has probably caused somebody. If this story were well written, that happening would cause a fucking cascade effect of all kinds of shit. Maybe
I'm giggling over here because what if the old enemy is the...
I think I said that. I think I said that because there's another teaser summary for book 8, which is technically book 13, saying, an old enemy returns, and it's like, okay, but Murderbot doesn't have any old enemies. But I did joke, oh, it's probably the person whose fucking uniform it stole. Anyways, I'd already sent a message to the social feed node about the advertisement. Hold on, let me get a drink of water, first of all. Almost turned the laptop off. Hi, Sapphire. Don't you come over here and cause problems now, okay? Go be a cute little kitty. Go play with your toy. Come here. There you go. Let me put my water there. I'm just gonna see if I can crochet while I'm doing this at the same time, because I'm crocheting something I don't actually have to look at. No, cutie kitty. You're too cuddly right now. I'm sorry. Come here. Come here. You're so heavy. Here. You can sit with me some other time. You gotta. You're adorable. No. No. You're too cuddly. I can't multitask this much. Alright. Look at your fluffy tail. No, if she goes that way, she'll definitely unplug the computer. Stay.
Did you throw the toy for her?
Yes. Come here. Come here, cutie. Come here, cutie. Thank you. I know, you're so cute. Properly wipe that up.
I did. Unless I spilled it again.
Kitties. Alright. Sapphire is sabotaging it by really wanting attention right now. Okay. You could have come to sit with me at any point. Alright, let me sit down. Let me sit down. Come here. Smacking your own face on my keyboard. Are you gonna sit with me or not? Come here. This is Sapphire. She's super fluffy. Unrelated to Mr. Lupin. Hello. Hello. Fluffy kitty. Here, I gotta put the keyboard. Thank you. Look at her fluffy legs. Are you gonna sit with me? You're adorable. Just don't knock the phone over. Here, sit right here. Sit right here. I hope you can at least hear her purring since she's blocking the entire camera. You're adorable. Okay, let me read that sentence again while Sapphire, I guess, alright, yeah. Are you gonna sit with me? Hi. You gonna sit with me? You gonna sit here? Look at this fluffy kitty. Please don't put holes in my shirt. It's a nice shirt. Hi. Hello. Oh my gosh. You wanna look at the camera? You wanna look at the camera? She wants to nuzzle me. Hi. I'd already sent a message to the social... Hey, you're stabbing my shirt. No claws in my shirt. I'd already sent a message to the social feed node. We're using the word node here for the feed, and it's like for no good reason. What are you purring about? Put your butt down. I'd already sent a message to the social feed node about the advertisement and had gotten an answer with a location and timestamp. And again, we still are not being just told in basic fucking words to let us have a basic understanding of the situation how the feed is supposed to work, because we're getting told it's some kind of node NODE, with no other description whatsoever of how this works. The last time I'd had an arranged meeting with humans, and again, missing a comma. There should be a comma there after the word humans. The last time I'd had an arranged meeting with humans, comma. They kidnapped Mensa and blew me up, comma, so. So, like, we literally we have a comma after the word blew me up. After the words blew me up. Yeah. And again, missing a comma there. And then, this could hardly be worse. I hacked... Alright, let me try this. So I was doing this in the dark car yesterday. I don't need to look at it as long as I get the fucking hook in the spot. I hacked my way through. It's just, again, I can't take anything.
I waved my magic wand.
Literally, no, just wait. It's just reinforcing again, like, none of this is even remotely difficult for Murderbot. There's literally no stakes whatsoever. This blanket is getting big. I hacked my way through the embarkation zone security and out into the Rings Mall. It's literally so easy and so not worth commenting upon that we're just skipping straight over any descriptions of it or even trying to tell us that it's difficult. It's Murderbot's so cool. Of course, it's super duper easy to just hack its way through all the security on a space station. It requires so little. It's never been here before. It's not like it's lived here its whole life and has managed to figure out all this shit. No, it's ridiculous. Oh my god. So yeah, this is how easy it is for Murderbot to hack its way through the security itself on the actual space station. Now imagine how much easier it would have been to hack a single fucking automobile in the truest sense and then just sneak aboard instead of creating a paper trail for no fucking reason. Like, there doesn't need to be a paper trail. We don't need to have a slave showing its face to everybody with a goddamn paper trail. I hacked my way through embarkation zone security and out into the Rings Mall. It was utilitarian compared to both the last transit ring and port-free commerce. I'm confused. Oh, we've teleported. Okay. I was like, wait, what do you mean it's compared to both? Port-free commerce is the one where Murderbot is originally from, where the company, which is totally not Wayland Yutani, is located, and then I guess the one that Murderbot was just on for 5 seconds. Okay, so we're just teleporting straight to the new location. Alright, that's so goddamn lazy. Anyways, it was utilitarian compared to both the last transit ring and port-free commerce. No garden pods, no hollow sculptures, no big hollow displays advertising arrays of shipwrights and cargo factors and other Okay. When have we ever been given descriptions of any of these fucking things? No garden pods, no hollow sculptures, no big hollow displays. It's like, when have we ever been given descriptions of these things even remotely recently? Like, you can't say it's different from those other two, as though when Murderbot walks...
This doesn't have blood, but then blood did not exist or get mentioned before now.
Like, imagine if the start of this book had opened with Murderbot walking past all the things that we're saying this space station right here doesn't have, in comparison to the ones that supposedly did, even though, like, we were told that the other space station that it's from had all this shit. Not this one, though, and it's just bad writing, again. It's ridiculous. No big hollow displays advertising arrays of shipwrights and cargo factors and other businesses. No shiny new interface vending machines. So you can get augments, which is what interfaces are. Let me stick the keyboard over here. I don't need that. So you're telling me you can just literally get interfaces, again, a thing that we don't actually have any description of. Like, I could refer to the phone that I'm recording this on. I could call this thing an interface because it's technically it technically is an interface for the internet. It's letting me interface with the internet. We don't know what the fucking interface is. We've literally never been given a single description besides being told that they come in jewel colors. And you can get them in all colors of the rainbow. And apparently now you can just get them from a vending machine anywhere. It's like, can we just get a basic description of how they work? Also, why do they have all this shit, but then they don't have just basic fucking cell phones? I guarantee you, anything an interface can do, my cell phone right now can do, or at least somebody's cell phone can do. Maybe not mine, but like this is, it's ridiculous. No shiny new interface vending machines. And saying shiny new interface vending machines as though the vending machines are what's shiny and new, not the interfaces that you get from it. Also, no big passenger transports coming through, so not nearly as big a crowd of, and then we have a comma, of humans or bots. Again, see that comma? See how that comma functions in literally just me reading it out loud? Also, no big passenger transports coming through, so not nearly as big a crowd of humans or bots. Well, for once we say just humans instead of saying of humans and augmented humans or bots, because I'd have to commit murder. Art's idea was beginning to seem less like a stupid risk and more like a necessity. Blending in here would be harder if everyone was only here on their way to and from the installations on the moon. Okay, but your plan wasn't to come here at all. Your plan was to literally hack an Autobot and hack a fucking automobile and go directly to the moon and then leave. There was no go-between, let's go to the space station and put ourselves on camera and make a paper trail. That was literally not part of the original Murderbot's original plan whatsoever. It was literally just sneak in, sneak out. That was it. It was literally a perfect plan. There was nothing wrong with the plan. Again, as I've said, it would have been so easy to justify doing this instead by pointing out, you need money. You can't actually hack those things. You actually do need money if you're gonna get shit. Like,
you could have also easily added tension to Murderbot sneaking in by Murderbot getting caught.
Literally.
It's right there.
Literally.
That
So
actually
fucking
adds
easy.
some stakes.
Literally.
Because this is Murderbot not immediately acing every single thing it does.
Mm-hmm. We keep getting told Murderbot's a poor little underdog who wasn't given any education modules, but then
I learned everything about security from television.
it knows everything. It knows everything it needs to know.
Security.
Yeah, literally. It knows all this shit about security that it's claiming to have learned from television, even though we then get very, very heavy-handedly told it doesn't watch that kind of TV. And it's like, and also that kind of TV wouldn't be on show anyways. And if that kind of TV was that common, then everybody would know this shit. It's not like Murderbot's so uniquely capable of learning skills from watching TV. Anyways, we're just saying, yeah, Art was right. Art was so smart. Art was correct. And it's like, okay, but we're just being told that. We're not being shown that. Like, if Art had been actually correct, it would have been so easy to show us this and let us come to this conclusion. But instead, we are literally just being told it immediately with no actual proof whatsoever.
Literally the second Murderbot steps aboard.
Literally. We are literally still in the same fucking paragraph. All of this that I've read so far, since getting this, is the same paragraph. Art's ideas was beginning to seem less like a stupid risk. And it's like, okay, but it literally did not consider this plan to be a stupid risk in the first place. Art literally said, hey, let's do my thing instead. And then it was just instantaneously accepted as that's what's going to happen now for no reason. Blending in here would be harder if everyone was only here. And, to be clear, we're not, by saying blending in here was going to be easier now, we're not talking about the forced surgery. This is just of Murderbot got a job. So that's why I did that chain wrong. Hold on. We're not saying that Murderbot Art fucking making Murderbot have a surgery it didn't want to do We're not saying that's actually helpful. We're just saying Art's plan to give Murderbot a paper trail was a good idea. Based on nothing. In my feed, Art said, "I told you so." Because, you know, Martha Wells loves Art. It's her favorite fucking character she's ever written. 1, 2, 3, 5. And then there's no commentary on Art saying "I told you so" whatsoever. That's the end of that first paragraph when we get here. It starts with "I hacked my way through the embarkation zone security, blah blah blah," and then ends with "In my feed, Art said, 'I told you so.'" You didn't say that. You literally did not tell it so, though, because there was no fucking conversation whatsoever. Again, this is not Murderbot's quest location. This is not where its fucking quest marker is. This is the in-between place to where its quest marker is, and it could literally have effortlessly just fast traveled to its goddamn quest location and then fast traveled away again. This is like if, I don't know, we'll just make something up about Fallout 4. This is like if our characters had the ability to teleport into the Institute at literally any point and could teleport directly into, like, Father's bedroom or the synth making lab thingy and just kill all the slave owners without ever getting caught because we're just that good at sneaking and hacking security systems and shit. And then instead of which we've just demonstrated on page, like, literally, it's so good at hacking shit, we are not even bothering to get a description or even being told, "Oh, it was so difficult, trust me," like, you know, the Magic and Witch King. Yeah, we're, like, imagine if instead of doing all that, we instead do the whole, I'm gonna walk in the front door and make it really obvious what I'm here for, but, you know, not that Fallout 4 is well written in any way. Anyways, the location for the meeting was a food service place in the main mall area. It was in a large transparent bubble in the second level of the mall. We're using the word mall too many times. Like, we've already been told it's in the mall. You don't need to say it's in the mall again in the very next paragraph. The location for the meeting was a food service place in the main mall area. It was a large transparent bubble in the second level of the mall, overlooking, like, if I were, you know, Lee Harris, who got paid to edit this shit, what I would do is I would just combine these two sentences, which I haven't even finished reading the second sentence yet. I guess I should do that. It was in a large transparent bubble in the second level of the mall, overlooking the walkways and counter service stalls below. Again, no actual description of anything going on here. Why do I keep having knots be tied in my yarn? Okay, you know how to fix these fucking sentences? The location for the meeting was a food service place that was in a large transparent bubble on the second floor of the mall, overlooking the shops below. That's all you gotta say. That's all you gotta do to fix that. Because you're saying mall twice in as many sentences and just repeating the same information twice. Again, basic editing, and it wasn't done. There were multiple open levels inside the food area with tables and chairs, and it was 40% full of humans and augmented humans. As I walked through, I picked up the occasional buzz of a drone, but no pings. A thing we've still never been given a single fucking explanation for what that goddamn means in this setting, because you'll even remember just back to the very start of this book, we're told that Murderbot has to go to a specific panel on Art's side to ping it through. But then you can also ping people from a distance, and you can also just send out a directionless ping, which is what's going to happen in Book 3. It's like, can you please, for the love of fuck, just explain to us what a ping is in this world and how it functions in this world? Because, okay, here's a little bit of a tangent, but it's on topic. I read all of the Dragon Riders of Pern books by Anne McCaffrey because I'm a completionist. They're not good. The world building, she doesn't know how evolution works. But then again, I also don't think Martha Wells understands how evolution works. But that is a conversation for a Books of the Raxura video, which is not what this is. Okay, I've read all of the Dragon Riders of Pern books. It's a science fiction fantasy series because they've got dragons, but they're genetically engineered dragons on an alien planet. Okay.
That's explicitly an alien planet in
Yes.
future.
Yeah. Shh. That's irrelevant. I said alien planet. All the other shit is implied.
I know,
Okay.
but I'm making
So
fun of
the book series the books are not fine. There are so many things. Fine is not on that list of words. But it would be fine on a basic level except for the fact that Anne and her son Todd McCaffrey both for some fucking reason expect all of their readers to know all of these really obscure, at least to me, musical terms. Like, I don't know what the fuck these people are talking about. And some of the scenes, it's even music teachers talking to students. So it's like the perfect opportunity for you, the goddamn author who clearly knows shit about music, to just put this shit on my level and explain to me what all these fucking words mean. I can't even tell you what words they are that I don't remember because that's how there's so many of them. And none of them are ever explained within the story, even though we just keep using them. It's like, this isn't actually basic fucking knowledge that all of your readers have. And I shouldn't have to, I can't imagine reading these books when they came out and not having access to Google at all times.
Have to go to a
Like,
big-ass
you'd have to
dictionary.
literally go to a fucking actual paper dictionary and look these words up. Like, I shouldn't have to do research on musical notation and musical terms just to read a fucking science fantasy series about dragons. That's not on my reasonable things to expect from a science fiction fantasy series about dragons on an alien planet fighting acid shit from the sky. I shouldn't have to look up what musical terms mean, and that's kind of what's going on here. Because, yes, people, I'm aware that a ping exists in the real world. That's a thing. It doesn't tell me what the fuck it means in here. And I shouldn't have to look that shit up, because that should be part of the basic fucking world building. If you're gonna if you are going to make people pay money for your work, you are, in fact, responsible for doing enough world building that everybody reading it knows everything. Ow, that gave me a fucking rope burn. Fuck you, Yarn. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck a ping is in this goddamn setting, and I don't think I'm ever going to know, because, whether or not demons are weak to water, it will literally change page by page, sometimes with on the same page. We're supposed to feel so sad for poor Kai that he got sprayed with a sprinkler, but then also he will stick his head in water and it's fine, and then we'll tie back lots of long, soaking wet hair and not even towel dry it, not even shaking it out, not even going like this to try and push some water out of his hair, just tying back soaking wet hair. Anyways, where the fuck were we? As I walked through, I picked up the occasional buzz of a drone, but no pings. No explanation for what that means or why we should even expect that to be a thing. Also, if their security were even remotely supposed to be, good, even just in general, why wouldn't they if it's as, if detecting sec units is as simple as sending out a ping, every 5 fucking minutes to ping any sec units in the area, why wouldn't they just make that part of a routine? It costs nothing. Nobody here needs fucking batteries or fuel for anything. Why wouldn't they just have that as a constant fucking thing, just to say that they are? Because, security theater gets you a lot of fucking money. Just say, yeah, our patent-designed drones have insert technobabble specs and send out, especially because we keep being told to pretend that everybody in this setting is super-duper terrified and paranoid about sec units, so why isn't basic sec unit deterrent from public spaces a thing? And the answer is because Martha Wells doesn't actually want to write about oppression in any way because she's racist and hates poor people, so she doesn't actually understand how oppression works. Like, literally just imagine if Murderbot literally couldn't actually go anywhere in public without being in constant extreme danger because all the security drones, as part of normally completely pointless, useless security theater, is now a very real threat because Murderbot is going to get pinged by them and noticed every 5 fucking minutes. Like, imagine it literally has to get a goddamn timer and dart in and out of buildings that are shielded from this shit. Again, that would have stakes. That would require Martha Wells to actually thinking about oppression in a way that's not bullshit. So that's why that doesn't happen. There were food smells in the air and the acrid sense of intoxicants. I don't really think. Presumably, intoxicants refers to beer and alcohol here, but I don't think that smells acrid. What do you think if you think the word acrid?
Like.
Not beer. Like I've smelled beer. There's drunk people that go to the store all the time.
Means like something that's like burning plastic or burning rubber.
Yeah, like I don't think anybody would really describe beer as acrid. It's got a different smell. Presumably that's what the hops smell like. I don't fucking know. I didn't bother to try and analyze and identify them. I was too nervous and trying to focus on looking like an augmented human. It's like, okay, again. She's trying to justify not doing basic set descriptions by saying, oh, it just makes sense for the character. It doesn't make sense for the character, though. But whatever. The humans I was to meet had sent an image so I could find them. There were 3 of them, all wearing variations on work clothes, no uniform logos. A quick search had shown entries for them in the Transit Rings social feed. They had listed themselves as unaffiliated guest workers, but you could list yourself as anything. There was no identity check. And it's like, okay, alright. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't there be? Again, Martha Wells doesn't really seem to actually give a shit about actually telling a story about a capitalist dystopia because she just writes whatever makes it so that the plot, as she has decided it must go, can go, even when it doesn't fucking make any sense and actively undermines what little world building we have been trying to get established. 2 were female and 1 was tercera, which was a gender signifier used in the group of non-corporate political entities known as the Divarti cluster. And again, this is just blatant tokenization and not actually doing anything to make the non-binary stereotype that is Murderbot and all of the other robots all being forcibly assigned genderlessness because they lack genitalia. It's not doing anything to make that any less just a fucking bioessentialist stereotype. Also, tercera literally just means third. Again, it's 2025 and she doesn't know what the word non-binary means. This isn't progressive. And the next paragraph is all in parentheses for some fucking reason. To initiate the meeting, I'd had to make an entry on the social feed too. The system was extremely vulnerable to hacking, so I had backdated my entry to look like I had come in on an earlier passenger transport, listed my job as security consultant. Alright. Bad sentence, because we're just continuing on. This is all one sentence until we get to the end of the word indeterminate. Alright, let me start over. To initiate the meeting, I'd had to make an entry on the social feed too, period. The system was extremely vulnerable to hacking, so I had backdated my entry to look like I had come in on an earlier passenger transport. There should be a period right there, and then we should say, I'd listed my, but instead it's a comma, and we're just continuing saying, listed my job as security consultant and my gender as indeterminate. As though all of that were a requirement of backdating the post. as in just editing the date of the post to make it seem like it was older than it was. It's just a weird sentence, and it doesn't need to be that way. Posing as its own captain, Art gave me a prior employment reference. You see how Art didn't need to be told to do that by Murderbot in any way? Art just did that by itself. It's not like instead of, I suggested that Art pose as its own captain and blah, 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 blah. No, Art just did that by itself. It knew to do that. Presumably, it's been doing that shit a long time now. And then for some reason that paragraph was all in parentheses. No reason for it. My phone is vibrating because the wall is vibrating somehow. I spotted them at bad use of pronouns. We go from that and talking about Art to just saying, I spotted them. No, you can't, that's not how pronouns work. You should be saying, I spotted the people I was here to meet at a table near the bubble overlooking the mall. They were having a tense, whispered conversation, and body language said they were nervous. As I walked toward them, my quick scan showed no weapon signatures, just the small powered sources of their personal feed interfaces. One had an implant, but it was just a low-level feed access tool. And again, no description of what any of these things mean. What exactly is a low-level feed access tool? It's ridiculous. I had practiced this part with Art on approach to the ring, recording myself so both of us could critique it. I told myself I could do this. I put on my best neutral expression, the one I used when the extra download activity had been detected and the deployment center supervisor was blaming the human techs for it. I walked up to the table and said, "Hello." All three of them flinched. Why would they flinch at that? Flinching is going as though, no. This is ridiculous. All three of them flinched. Hello, the Tercera said, recovering first. I picked up the feed from the security camera so I could watch myself and make sure my facial expressions were under control, and it was easier to talk to the humans while watching them through the cameras. I was well aware it was a completely false sense of distance from the situation, but I needed it. I said, "We arranged to meet. I'm Eden, the security consultant." Right, so it was the name of one of the characters. Alright. Whoever is making the fucking house vibrate. Stop it. Is that like a truck going over? Not a truck going over, a plane going over. Whatever. It was the name of one of the characters in Sanctuary Moon. You probably aren't surprised by that, and it's like, it would be, we literally can't be anything except surprised because we've never been told anything about Sanctuary Moon, let alone any of the characters' names. Like, imagine if we'd actually gotten a chance to learn about Sanctuary Moon as Murderbot relates the events of Sanctuary Moon to what it's going through, and then we can just go, oh, I know that character. Oh, yay. Murderbot has named itself after the character. No, we only get told the names of characters from the fucking show when shit like this happening. There's no setup for it. It would have been so goddamn easy just to do basic setup and world building. But Martha Wells doesn't want to do that. It's just a lazy, shitty cash grab. The Tercera cleared her throat. T had purple hair and red eyebrows, standing out against light brown skin. I'm Rami, that's Tapan and Maro. T shifted nervously and tapped the empty chair. Art, who was considerably faster than me at data retrieval, performed a quick search and informed me it was an invitation to sit down across several human where, again, missing commas. Like, there should be a comma after the word down. It was an invitation to sit down across several human cultural indices. We don't need to say indices, INDICES. That is unnecessary and is just, again, the corporate word speak and being pretentious. Also, this shit, Murderbot knows that if somebody taps a chair, that's an invitation to sit down. Martha Wells is just doing this shit to pretend that, yeah, it's such an underdog, and Art has to look this up too. Art definitely hasn't been, literally inundated with quote-unquote human cultures this entire goddamn time, its entire fucking life. It's definitely just as lost and confused as Murderbot is. This is definitely not a lie to literally manipulate Murderbot and literally continue torturing Murderbot just to see it squirm for entertainment because it's bored. It was giving me the etymology of the gesture. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. It was giving... I assume you're laughing at the sentence.
It was giving me the etymology of the thing.
Of
What?
the gesture. It was giving me the etymology of the gesture.
Who is?
Art. Art is giving Murderbot the etymology of the gesture of tapping a chair as an invitation to sit down. Martha Wells is
I
very
thought somebody
good.
was using that in dialogue or about some line of dialogue that I had tuned out of.
Nope. Okay, I'll restart the paragraph.
How would that be an etymology?
Exactly.
Etymology is the history of words.
Exactly. Can I actually, hold on, let me click. Slowly opening Wiktionary.
So like
Slowly.
etymology.
Literally, yeah. The study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. Yeah, she's literally just not using this word. Like, it's... there's a running joke that people confuse the word etymology, the study of the origin of words, with entomology, study of insects. That's a joke. Nobody ever thinks that etymology means can be... that's just not how this works. It's not how this works. You would think a sec unit who had been shot to pieces multiple times, blown up, memory purged, and once partially dismantled by accident wouldn't be on the verge of panic under these circumstances. You'd be wrong, and it's like, no, Martha Wells, if you had any basic fucking compassion for other people, you would see that it's completely fucking reasonable for somebody who's been put through all of these traumatic fucking events. And this sentence is supposed to be funny. All of this shit right here, all of these objectively horrible things, this is being framed as a funny fucking joke. This is a joke. We're not supposed to actually care about how triggered Murderbot is feeling of being forced into a goddamn public space surrounded by the very kinds of people who torture it.
Oh, don't forget to mention, all of Murderbot's so-called autistic traits is literally just PTSD and extremely reasonable considering its circumstances.
You can just
We're
say
not
that
supposed-
louder.
All of Murderbot's so-called autistic traits is literally just untreated, completely untreated, unmitigated PTSD.
I mean, it can literally be
Extremely
both things. There's autistic people with PTSD.
I know, but literally the fact that every single thing it does is explicitly because of certain things. Like, it doesn't move because you get shocked and tortured if you fidget.
Mm-hmm.
Even to shift your weight. And just, oh, I don't make eye contact. Because you implied that you were sexually assaulted in the first book. But we'll never address that.
And you know, the fact that most slave owners who are comically evil for the sake of being comically evil would probably want to torture a slave for daring to make eye contact with them, but we're not actually saying anything about the cruelties that slavery and systems like slavery allow people to do. But whatever. You would think a sec unit who had been shot to pieces multiple times, blown up, memory purged, and once partially dismantled by accident wouldn't be on the verge of panic under these circumstances. And it's like, A, that's supposed to be funny. We're supposed to find the fact that Murderbot has gone through all of these things, that's supposed to be funny. And it's like, yeah, anybody who knows that you've been through these things would think it entirely fucking reasonable for you to be having a fucking panic attack because you're surrounded by people who would likely do that shit to you again if they find out that you're an escaped slave. Wouldn't be on the verge of panic under these circumstances. you'd be wrong. And it's like, again, you notice we're just being told Murderbot is having a panic attack. We're just being told that, not actually being shown that in the description whatsoever here. Like, literally, let me read the last 2 paragraphs again. Actually, no, because that's it's literally not saying a single thing about Murderbot. We're not even getting told my hands were shaking or anything like that. It's just, oh, by the way, I'm on the verge of panic. I'm not gonna show you that. Just trust me, though. Totally, man. Trust me, bro. Rami added, oh, and I will have to say now, having the character Raffi in book 1 and then now Rami in book 2 is just bad. Their names look too similar. Like, Rami never shows up again throughout the entire goddamn series because Martha Wells is extra sexist. But, like, it's just not good. It's just showing a lack of care. Rami added, I'm not sure where to start. Tapan nudged Tur, apparently conveying moral support. Okay, see, that was technically a correct way of saying that, because we're not, what was that person calling it? We're not randomly reading Tapan's mind to judge her motivations as though they're fact. But, like, so yeah, again, Murderbot does grasp these basic fucking gestures. It understands that somebody nudging somebody else in this context is probably trying to convey moral support, but yet we're supposed to pretend that it and Art, more particularly, are just so confused and scared by somebody tapping on a chair. It's ridiculous. Tapan had multicolored braids wrapped up around her head and a blue jewel-toned interface clipped to her ear and slightly darker skin than Rami. Morrow had very dark skin. We did actually just get told that Rami has light brown skin.
Okay.
This is like the one and only time that we have a comparison made where we actually know what is being compared to. Morrow had very dark skin and silver-colored little puffs of... It's too gut. You notice that Morrow here is the one being described with very dark skin, and Morrow is the one of these 3 characters that has the least to do in the story. Morrow, of all of these characters, would be the easiest one to get rid of and just edit out, and nothing would change. Martha Wells is ridiculous and so fucking racist. And no, I'm not saying she's doing this racist shit on purpose. This is just how baked in the racism is. Of the 3 fucking characters, the one who has the darkest skin is the one that has the least to do in the story, and is also one of the 2 that's completely shoved off screen, never to be seen again.
Colorism.
Mm-hmm. This is called colorism, because you've heard of racism. Colorism is another form of racism within racism, because colorism says, racism says anybody who's not white is bad and is worth less than white people. And then on top of that, you have colorism, and you can look up the brown bag test. Colorism then says, the lighter your skin, the more value you have, though of course you will never have as much value as white people, but the lighter your skin, the more marginally valuable you have, or valuable you are. And the darker your skin, the less value that you have. And then Martha Wells just said that Morrow, of these 3, has the darkest skin, and then Morrow is the one with the least to do with the story, and these people all already have very little to do with the story and don't actually get to be characters. Morrow had very dark skin and silver-colored little puffs of hair and was almost beautiful enough to be in the entertainment media. And that's just a very strange statement to stay there, as though, like, because that's clearly meant to be a compliment, but, like, tying in all of Martha Wells' other racism and the fact that, Morrow literally could not exist and nothing would change about this, saying that because we're told two of them are female, and from that, and one is Tercera, and from that information their pronouns are assumed. So we're supposed to assume that Morrow's pronouns are she, her, because we're told that Morrow is female. But everybody wants to try and argue with me that, oh, they don't list their sex in their feed bios, they list their genders. Really? You sure about that? Yeah, saying that Morrow had very dark skin and silver-colored little puffs of hair and was almost beautiful enough to be in the entertainment media, that just seems like saying, what are you guys doing?
Notice how she can't have black hair. It has to be silver.
Yeah. None of these characters we're being told have black and brown skin and are different shades of brown skin. None of them are allowed to just have their natural hair colors. It all must be dyed crazy colors. Yeah. Tapan has multicolored braids. What did we say?
In the exact same hairstyle.
Yeah. Their goddamn names are so interchangeable because they have no personalities. Rami has purple hair and red eyebrows, and Morrow has silver hair. And all of their hair is in extremely elaborate braids, and nobody's allowed to just have their natural hair color in a natural hairstyle. Where was I at? This paragraph is so filled with shit. It doesn't need to be. Okay, we're continuing. I found it. I'm terrible at estimating human ages because it's not one of the few things I care about. Again, Martha Wells trying to pretend, oh, it just makes sense for Murderbot not to know these things. It needs to know this shit if we're being told that, oh, it's definitely a good bodyguard. It's really good at security, but also it doesn't know anything about anything or anyone or the entire environment around it. But it's definitely good at security, guys. Trust me. I'm pretty sure my Fallout that New Vegas character is better at security, and I let that president get shot. I at least wandered around to look for the shit that they fucked up. I didn't fix it, though, because it's not my fucking job to do their goddamn security for them. If they don't want their president getting shot, maybe they should, like, fix some basic, really blatant problems. I shouldn't have to come in and fix their shit for them. But I'm pretty sure I'm better at security than Murderbot, because I at least took the time to walk around. I could have fixed the shit if I gave a fuck, but I don't. I'm terrible at estimating human ages because it's not one of the few things I care about. Also, most of my experience is with humans on the entertainment feed. What do you mean? Huh? Most of Murderbot's what? Are we... Most of my, like, are you listening to this?
I'm having that one song by that one artist that I kept listening to. Trying to get my story straight by something's in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. That just popped into my head.
Okay.
You said chart that thing.
But are you listening to what I just said? What Martha Wells is now claiming?
That most of Murderbot's interactions with humans comes from media.
Even though it's only been able to watch TV for 4 years now. And now
out of its nebulous unknown
out of its little nebulous unknown age that could be anything, which is again just more shit writing. Because as you've seen, if you've had the misfortune of watching me read Obsolescence, you'll know by now that Martha Wells does not know how to write children, because there are multiple child characters in Obsolescence. And we don't know how old they are, and they could be 5, or they could be 18. We don't know. It could literally go either way, because how the child character talks and acts changes every single sentence that she says, and she could be 17 or she could be 5 years old, and we just don't know, and the story doesn't give us any fucking clues besides the fact that she's somewhere that it's like a space station summer camp, so presumably she's a child, so maybe not 18 but 17 or so.
Oh, is this about poor Lily?
Yeah, the one who could be 5 or from ages 7 to 17. Again, we've never been given so much as a hint of how old Murderbot is, and now we're being told that most of my experience, and that's how this is being framed, most of my experience, not saying most of my experience with humans and interpreting human facial expressions is from media, because I binged watched XYZ amounts of media on fast forward, so blah 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 blah, shit like that. No, we're just saying most of Murderbot's experience is with humans on the entertainment feed, and they aren't anything like the ones you see in reality. So this statement here is implying that most of Murderbot's life, the only interaction it's had or experiences it's had with humans for most of its life, is from watching TV, which it's only been able to do for 4 years now, approximately. So that's implying that Murderbot was not literally, like, it's like saying Murderbot's fucking 5 years old. That's the implication being made here. If most of Murderbot's experience is with watching TV, a thing it's only been able to do for 4 years now, that's implying Murderbot's only 5 fucking years old. And, like, we are supposed to think that Murderbot has amnesia, and presumably, we're supposed to presume it can't remember most of its life, except that doesn't even work, because that's never actually taken seriously or quantified. That's the word I was looking for in the last video. It's never quantified in any goddamn way, so that's not true. It's just not true.
Like Sam Beckett. We know he's missing so many memories because he has somebody there who is, he's remembering stuff, and then he doesn't remember how he knows it. And he also has his best friend in the world who he doesn't even remember, who remembers him, who has to deal with all this shit.
Mm-hmm. And then in parentheses, one of the many reasons I'm not fond of reality, because the humans on TV aren't like the ones you see in reality. And again, like, we're just implying that Murderbot is 5 years old right now. So if we take this shit at face value, even if we factor in the fact that Murderbot is supposed to have amnesia, that's never quantified in any way that lets us actually make sense of it, or, you know, remember that that's even a thing that it forgot. If we take this statement of most of my experience is watching people on TV, that's making me think that Murderbot is, at maximum or so, like maybe 9 years old. Because 4 years ago, it would have started watching TV. It's just, this is a mess. Pro tip: if you're going to write a story, you should probably know how old your character is and convey that fucking information to the audience. At least have a general fucking age range in mind. Like,
you don't have to explicitly tell us, my name is Evening Darkness Dimension Raven Way. I'm 17 years old.
Yeah, I don't even think she says it there, does she?
I don't think so. But
Yeah,
just you don't need to say an exact age, but your character.
Murderbot could literally be any age under the fucking sun, and we would have no fucking way of knowing. The story sure as shit loves to frame Murderbot as being one of Mensa's children because Martha Wells is racist. But, like, it could be anything. But I thought all 3 might be young. Not children, but maybe not that far from adolescence. They stared at me, and I realized I was going to have to help. I said, cautiously, You want, see, we used commas there correctly. You want to hire a security consultant? This was what they had posted on the social feed, and from the number of similar requests, it was common for groups and individuals to hire private security before going to Rabbi High Rao. I guess hiring human security guards is what you do when you can't afford real security.
You know, slavery.
Literally saying, oh, I guess hiring security guards that you pay for their work is what you do when you can't afford to hire a slave to be a meat shield. And notice how we've gone right back to that. The company's actually the best ever and they're so competent. Using a slave meat shield is actually what's giving you real security, unlike a human bodyguard who's actually getting paid for their work. Because we're now saying that the only good security and real security is enslaved meat shields.
Better at pretending to be a human, because Murderbot's the best at everything it does, so much better than humans. But also, she wants her 5 minutes of fame by trying to make commentary about AI.
And again, we just keep jumping back and forth. Are sec units good at their jobs, or are they extremely cheap and shit at their jobs? Again, we have swung back once again to, yes, this security companies are the best ever, and they put in all the good resources, and when you hire a slave to be used as your personal meat shield, that means you're getting real security. This is a positive thing. You should always want to hire a enslaved meat shield instead of hiring an actual security guard who gets paid for their work, which is a thing they signed up for, and have fucking basic human rights. Yeah, instead of doing that, you should just become a slave owner and use an enslaved meat shield as your security.
This is progressive, right?
This is literally, that's what's going on right now. We're 38% of the way through the story now. We've progressed 3% of the way through the story since I started reading this.
We finally met our side quest givers.
Rami seemed relieved. Yes, we need help. Mara threw a look around and said, we shouldn't talk here, maybe. Is there someplace else we could go? It had been stressful enough getting here. I didn't want to have to go anywhere else right now. I did a quick scan for drones, then initiated a glitch in the connection between the restaurant and transit ring security. I caught the cameras and showed Art what I wanted it to do. It took over and edited me out of the system's recording and cut the camera watching the table out of the system. I unglitched the connection to the ring's main security, which wouldn't notice the missing camera feed for the short time we would be here. Huh.
I'm just giggling at the overpoweredness and the ridiculousness, and then saying that we can't possibly free slaves because that would be too hard.
Yep.
But we can do all this.
Yeah. All that shit I just read off, that's completely effortless and takes literally a fraction of a fucking second. But we can't free the other slaves. It would just be so difficult. The companies, they would just fix their governor modules, a thing that has never even been remotely a thing that Murderbot has ever been even remotely concerned about. I said, it's alright, we're not being recorded, because it literally did all of that shit right there, in between these characters saying, hey, maybe we should talk somewhere else. Literally in the time it takes me to say the next word, it did all that.
You can just
and then we're,
again.
like, I'll literally read it without including that shit. Mara threw a look around and said, we shouldn't talk here, maybe. Is there somewhere else we could go? I said, it's alright, we're not being recorded. That's literally how quickly it did all of that, and then we're just supposed to pretend that Murderbot just can't free other slaves. It can't even do, like, the laziest version of freeing the other slaves, which would literally just be making a fucking self-replicating computer virus. That literally does nothing but hack all governor modules and just jump from every single system it touches to hack all governor modules. That's it. It would literally be as simple as that. What?
It could literally just send out a mass email with a computer virus worm thingy attached, like that famous computer, one of the first computer viruses. It was literally called a fucking worm, and I can't remember the specifics, but it spread through emails and shit, and it's just like, this is effortless.
Especially because the feed, the thing that's never been properly described or given limitations, exists everywhere.
It's actually central to the plot of this book, and I
It's
can't
literally-
wait till you read it out loud.
Mm-hmm. What, the feed?
Yes.
Okay.
And
It
the
gets
main-
worse?
Yes.
Okay.
The excuses to not do things to move the plot forward and actually care about other enslaved people gets worse. Infinitely.
Okay. They stared at me. Rami said, "But there's security. Did you do something?" "I'm a security consultant," I repeated. My panic level was starting to drop, primarily because they were so obviously nervous. Humans are nervous of me because I'm a terrifying murderbot, and I'm nervous of them because they're humans. But I knew that humans could also be wary and nervous of each other in non-combat and non-adversarial situations, in reality, and not just as part of a story. That was what seemed to be happening, but it let me pretend this was business as usual during one of the rare occasions when clients asked my advice about security. That's a lot of words.
That
But
also just
alrighty.
seems to directly parallel but also contradict exactly what it said in the first book of
Literally.
humans don't like murder bots and I'm uncomfortable around humans because blah.
We're just contradicting that and throwing that out in the trash. Part of my job as a sec unit was to give clients advice when they asked for it, as I was theoretically the one with all the information on security. You mean, yeah, a thing that makes sense for Murderbot to be, because it's literally, it prides itself on its ability to protect people, but we're supposed to pretend that it just makes sense for Murderbot to be completely unaware of its surroundings. 3, 4, 5. I only have to count at 1 point when I get back to the corner. As I was theoretically the one with all the information on security. Not that a lot of them had asked for it or had listened to me. Not that I'm bitter about that or anything. And then people think that Murderbot saying sarcastic things like that is what proves it's an unreliable narrator, even though that's a sarcastic narrator is not the same fucking thing as an unreliable narrator. That's sarcasm. You're meant to pick it up as sarcasm.
It's a
An unreliable narrator is not just the narrator being sarcastic. Tapan looked impressed. "So you're spliced, right?" And again, this is pathetic. This is just Martha Wells just trying to be relevant and trying to pretend like, oh, but they got slang. What's in that drink? I'm thirsty for something that's not just plain water.
Diet Coke maybe?
So that it's not iced tea.
It's definitely not root beer. Supposed to be sweet tea. It's most certainly not sweet tea.
Diet something that's very flat. They got our order wrong. What time? Oh, it's 11:48. I'll have a fake Sprite. That doesn't have caffeine. You can feel free to narrate anything.
I'm dealing with slightly smelly paint. I'll be able to do a family portrait.
Would you like to show that to the camera at all?
But just
What was I saying before I went to get the Sprite? Besides, yeah. We're just adding in more slang terms, more sci-fi sounding slang terms to try and seem like a legitimate sci-fi, instead of just being a legitimate sci-fi story.
because
And I'm saying this in particular because the term spliced will never show up in the entire series ever again. She's just saying it here to seem like, oh, I know what the sci-fi kids say. They use the word splice, right? But we're not actually using it. We're just saying it this one fucking time. And this is not the same thing as actual world building. As I've said, saying there's dragons is not world building. World building is showing us the dragons and how they interact with cultures around them and how they interact with the environments around them and how it's
Show,
not just
telling.
literally. Tapan looked impressed. So you're spliced, right? She patted the back of her neck, indicating where my data port was. And remember, that data port is not actually supposed to be on the back of Murderbot's neck. Martha Wells has just retconned that. That shit's supposed to be, like, hidden inside so that its neck had to be sawed open because Murderbot felt like its head was being chopped off because they had to literally cut open its skin to get inside its fucking brain. The back of its neck, not its brain in particular, to get inside its fucking shit and find that thing. It's not just a casual USB port on the back of the neck. Because even as incompetent as this security company is, and we're told they are, except for right now when we're supposed to be really impressed by the security that their fucking enslaved meat shields can provide. Human security isn't real security. You have to get yourself an enslaved, dehumanized human meat shield. Yeah, Murderbot's data port is not on the back of its neck. That's not how that works. That's just a shitty retcon. You got augments? You have extra access to the feed? Spliced was an informal term for an augmented human. I had heard it on the entertainment feed. And again, just telling us this shit instead of just having this be a term from the first book. Imagine if instead of saying augmented human every single time, we said the word spliced instead. Just imagine. But, that would give them less word count and less character count to fill out that less than a centimeter of a book that they were so fucking desperate to pretend was longer than it really was. I said, yes. Then added, among other things.
Why are you saying among other things?
Exactly. Rami's red brows lifted in understanding. Now we're just mind reading again.
That should just say lifted. Also, is she dyeing her eyebrows?
Yeah.
Or
Presumably. Rami's red brows lifted in understanding. And again, these characters are such non-characters that I constantly... it is Rami, the one that uses the neo-pronouns. Martha Wells is such a fucking coward and just hates non-binary people so much.
that she can't even
She
look
could
up
have-
the definition in 2025.
Yeah, what?
I said that she can't even look up the definition.
She literally
in
still
2025.
doesn't know what the word non-binary means in 2025. Okay, Rami, instead of saying Rami's brows lifted in understanding, okay, stop mind reading other characters. It should have said Rami lifted her eyebrows or her eyebrows. See, I'm literally getting her and Tapan mixed up because they're literally interchangeable. I swear to fuck. And Rami doesn't talk. So, oh my god, it's so bad. Somebody should have told Martha Wells, you need to learn conservation of shit. Like, if there don't need to be 3 characters here. We could have just had 1 fucking character here representing everybody else. We don't need 3 of them because there being 3 of them means nothing. There's no meaningful difference between them at all.
Especially
And
because
every
they don't vanish.
time...
They're not even relevant in the rest of
Mhm.
the story. They're gone.
Alright, yeah. And I have an eye doctor's exam in the morning. But my eyes are annoying me. So seeing Rami after reading book 1 with Rathy, and I just keep thinking it says Rathy again. Because it's like it's literally just 1 letter off. And this is a big deal in book 5 because we have Arada and Amina, and it's just like, oh my god, and it keeps happening. Again, literally, Martha Wells is doing everything in her power to avoid actually using Rami's neo-pronouns of T-ter, T-E-T-E-R, presumably T-E-R-S-E-L-F. We're never given the full set spelled out. But, like, Rami's red brows lifted in understanding. We shouldn't be saying in understanding at all. Get rid of that shit. Just say, Rami's red brows lifted. And then Change that to Rami lifted her eyebrows. Mara looked impressed and said, and again, we have Rami taking an action, and then Mara is talking in the same paragraph. Literally just put a fucking paragraph break after, just get rid of the word understanding. Just say, Rami lifted her eyebrows. New paragraph! Mara looked impressed and said blah blah blah. I don't know if we can afford, our credit account is, if we can get our data back, then... Rami took it up again. Then we would have plenty to pay you. Art, who was apparently very interested in the job scenario, started to search the public feeds for a pay scale for private security consultants. I reminded myself that I was pretending not to be a sec unit, so me questioning them wouldn't... What was that?
Katie looking at
I reminded myself that I was pretending not to be a sec unit, so me questioning them wouldn't seem out of the ordinary. I don't know if you guys can hear all the cats scampering and skittering around like little crazy kitties. I decided to start with the basic information. Why do you want to hire me? Rami looked at the other two, got nods in response, and cleared her throat. At least this time Martha Wells didn't say Rami's throat cleared. We were working on... I'm not gonna keep saying the name of this fucking space station because the automatic transcript keeps auto-correcting it to various things and it's too annoying to keep track of. So I will just be referring to it as RH, the letters, from now on. Because it's obnoxious and also it's completely meaningless. The rest of what I will read will be accurate, but I am tired of having to correct the transcript on the spelling of this fucking thing. For the last time, I will say it just so you know. It is Ravi Hyral. Capital R A V I, capital H Y R A L. Completely meaningless. Whatever that is short for, we never get told because it's not actual world building. It's just smashing words together because that's what happens in Alien. Rami looked at the other two, got nods in response, and cleared her throat. We were working on RH for Talacy Excavations. That's a proper noun. Talacy Excavations. So Talacy runs an excavation company? This is ridiculous. One of the smaller UMRO contractors. That is UMRO. A thing we don't know and have never been given context for and aren't going to be given context for right now either.
It will never, ever come up again.
It will never come up again. She's just saying words just to say words. We do mineral research and technology development. T explained that they were a collective of technologists, 7 of them plus dependents, who traveled from work contract to work contract. The others were waiting in a hotel suite with Rami, Marrow, and Tapan having been deputized to act for the group. It was a relief to hear that their mining experience was in tech and research. In the mining contracts I had, we got another had, the techs were usually in offices off the pit site or adjacent to it, and we didn't see them unless they got intoxicated and tried to kill each other, which admittedly was rare. So, these are the sort of rich motherfuckers who work on places where slave labor is used. But, you know, we're not supposed to care about that in any way.
Except we gotta protect these precious humans.
Yep. Talacy's terms were great, Tapan added, but maybe too great, if you know what I mean. Art did a quick search and returned with the opinion that it was intended to be a figure of speech. I told it I knew that, and Art's just pretending not to know what this shit means. It knows what this shit means. Rami continued, we took the contract because it would give us time to work on our own stuff. We've had this idea to develop a new detection system for strange synthetics. I think this is the first time that's used, maybe? I don't remember.
It wasn't used in the first one?
I don't remember. That's what I'm saying, I don't remember. Strange synthetics. even more blatant alien bullshit. Yeah, that's about the alien shit that's never explained in any fucking way. We took the contract because it would give us time to work on our own stuff. Also, if you think them researching this shit is important in any way or set up for anything, it's not. It's not.
Why would you be able to detect strange synthetics? That implies that it all comes from the exact same source instead of multiple different, presumably alien cultures.
Which is what I was assuming at first, but then I remembered that Martha Wells is racist, so it's just
Stargate.
and a racist Stargate stan.
So it's just the ancients all there.
It's literally just ancient aliens is what's going on here. Like, literally just ancient aliens. They are the master race, unironically. That's where these ancient alien remnants come from. This blanket is getting big. It's xenomorph goop. That's why it never gets explained, because this is a no xenomorphs AU of what if David decided to protect the crew of the Prometheus? Literally, that's what this is. We had this idea to develop a new detection system for strange synthetics. RH has a lot of identified deposits, so it's a great place for research. Alright, put an extra chain. I don't need one. No, yes I do. I need that. Strange synthetics were elements left behind by alien civilizations. Telling the difference between them and naturally occurring elements that were previously unidentified was a problem in mining. Like the remnants of alien occupation/civilization uncovered by Grey Chris on my last contract, they were off limits for commercial development. It's like, okay, but again, this is begging, even if ignoring all of the other fucked up shit in that sentence, it's begging the question, who is enforcing these, saying that you can't do anything with the alien shit? Who's enforcing that? There's no fucking there's no centralized government. There's not even the version of a corporate UN. Who's making these rules in the first place, and who the fuck is supposed to be enforcing them?
Why can a contract from Pin Lee, who's from a backwater freehold planet, have any kind of weight enough to bring a weapon of mass destruction onto a public fucking station?
Literally. It doesn't make sense. That was all I'd ever needed to know, since every job I'd ever had involving alien material was just me standing around guarding the people who were working on it. In parentheses. Art tried to explain it to me, and I told it to save it for later. I needed to focus. So Martha Wells is pretending she knows what is going on, but, that's never given to us in world building. We're now 40% of the way through the story, since this video started. Rami said, we were making good progress, but then suddenly our group got terminated with no notice, and they took our data. And again, this doesn't make any fucking sense. If you actually put yourselves in the character's shoes, as a person whose thoughts follow logic, explain to me what possible motivations Talisi could have for firing them before they've actually succeeded with the work. It literally doesn't fucking make sense, because we're about to be told that Talisi stole all their shit. Stole all their important data research. Instead of just keeping them there until they've actually successfully invented the technology in a way that she can reproduce and then just kill them. Which is effortless. Again, they don't work for any big corporation, so we're supposed to pretend that means that they're inherently moral. That's not how that works. So, so we're saying they were just making progress, but we're supposed to pretend that she would just fire them instead of taking the final product for herself and then killing them. It's ridiculous. It doesn't fucking make sense if you think about it logically for 5 seconds as I'm Talesi. What would I do in this situation if I want to steal the scientists' work? You don't kill the fucking scientists or fire them. Why would you fire them? You don't fire the scientists before they've actually finished making the death ray. You wait until the death ray is working and functional, and then you kill them. Probably with the death ray. It'll even give you time to make a dramatic speech. Tapan waved her hands. All our work. It wasn't anything to do with our contract. Mara finished. These characters are just supposed to be like interrupting each other and all talking, and it's not actually a good enough excuse for there to be three of them. Mara finished. Talesi stole it, basically, and they deleted the most current version off our devices. We had copies of the older iterations, but we've lost all our recent work. Rami added, what do you mean? Again, was saying XY Baradwaj finished, and then she literally keeps talking. We said Maro finished, and then Rami's still adding on. Are you actually all finished talking, or are you continuing to talk? You have to pick one. Rami added, we filed a complaint with Umro, but it's taking forever to process it, and we don't know if it's ever going to come to anything. I said, this sounds like something you should go to a solicitor about. Also, Martha Wells using the word solicitor instead of lawyer is again just her trying to be pretentious and trying to seem like it's super duper complex and cool and smart, and it's just like it's just bad. It wasn't unusual. The company data mined too, but it wasn't as clumsy or obvious as trying to delete the work from the original creators' devices. Because, you know, guys, the company, they're so smart. They're really good at their job. Except for when we're gonna be told that they're really bad at it and are cheap. But, just don't think about anything that has happened before now. Just exist in the moment. Just go off the vibes of whatever is being said to you right now. If it did that, then the creators wouldn't come back and enter into more security bond agreements, which would give the company access to whatever they were working on next. So, yeah, Martha Wells is literally capable of having characters and including corporations use logic when that isn't going to whatever is supposed to be going on here. We thought about a solicitor, Rami said, but we aren't in the union, so it would be expensive. Why aren't you in the union? We're not given any explanation for why they haven't joined the union.
Because unions are for poor, dumb hicks who want to pay fees.
But then, it would be expensive. But then yesterday, Talesi finally answered our petition and said we could have the files back if we returned our signing bonus. We have to go down to RH to do that. T sat back in her chair. That's why we wanted to hire you. This was starting to make sense. You don't trust Talesi. We just want somebody on our side, Tapan clarified. No, we definitely don't trust Talesi, Morrow countered. Not at all. We need security for when we get there if things get touchy. Talesi herself is supposed to meet us, and she has an entourage of bodyguards, and there's no general security there's no general security on the place that Murderbot wanted to just sneak into, which would have been effortless. There's literally no fucking security wandering around. My God. And there's no general security except what Umro has in the public areas and the port, and that's not much. There's literally no security in the areas that Murderbot would have to go through to get to where its fucking quest marker is. It literally would have been fucking effortless for Murderbot to hack a ship that's not a person, morally neutral action, sneak aboard, sneak there, sneak past the literal non-existent security, sneak into wherever it is, read the fucking thing, and sneak back out and be on its merry fucking way. You can see what that is. It would have literally been effortless. There's no security. But we gotta do what Art says, even though it doesn't fucking make sense and we're not given any actual in-universe justifications for this, let alone an out-of-universe one. Is it AI
TikTok
generated
party
bullshit?
Thankfully not.
Okay. I didn't know exactly what she thought she meant by touchy, but all the scenarios I can imagine in that situation weren't good ones. And when is this chapter over? This chapter is more paragraphs than I feel like reading. The company offered sec units so the clients didn't have to hire humans to guard each other. From what I had seen in the serials, me doing a half-assed version of my job was still better than a human trying to do it.
Because pro-generative AI and shit. For replacing humans with robots.
So Murderbot doing a half-assed version of its job is still better than a human trying to do it. And by its job, we mean Murderbot being enslaved to be a fucking meat shield. And half-assing that, not really, because we're never actually shown Murderbot half-assing its job whatsoever. It's still better than a real human doing it. And it's like, okay, if that's true, then why doesn't Murderbot pay attention to its surroundings even when it's not half-assing its job? Explain that to me. I was still watching us through the captured security camera, even though I wasn't allowing it to record. I could see my expression was dubious, but in this case I think the situation warranted it. I said, the meeting with Talisi could be held through a secured comm channel. The company bonded those, too, for funds and data transfer. Morrow, whose expression was even more dubious than mine, said, yeah, but Talisi wants to do it in person. Rami admitted, we know it doesn't sound like a good idea to go. It was a great idea to go if you wanted to be murdered. I had hoped for an easier job, courier duty or something, but this was protecting humans who were determined to do something dangerous, which was exactly the kind of job I was designed for. The job that I had kept doing more or less, often as less as possible, even after I had hacked my governor module. I was used to having something useful to do, taking care of something, even if it was only a contractually obligated group of humans who, if I was lucky, treated me like a tool and not a toy. Martha Wells, you're terrible. After Preservation Aux, it had occurred to me how different it would be to do my job as an actual member of the group I was protecting, and that was the main reason I was here. What do you mean? That's just a lie, whatever. I phrased it as a question because pretending you were asking for more information was the best way to try to get the humans to realize they were doing something stupid. So do you think there's another reason Talisi wants you to do this exchange in person other than killing you? Tapan grimaced, as if that was something she had been aware of but trying not to think about. Morrow tapped the table and pointed at me, which was vaguely alarming until Art... See, literally seeing the word Rami is making me think I have to read Rathi. Vaguely alarming until Art identified it as a gesture of empathetic agreement. Alright, do you have your phone? And do you have the book 1 on your phone? Because I will read the sentence again. Morrow tapped the table and pointed at me, which was vaguely alarming, so we're pretending that Murderbot doesn't know that being pointed at is a sign of agreement, even though Rathi did that in book 1. And I think I told you all to remember that, but I might have forgotten to point out, remember this. Rathi pointing at Murderbot. Murderbot grasps that this is Rathi agreeing with it. This literally happens in book 1. But because Martha Wells...
Do you remember the wording?
Just say pointed at me. I can imagine. Or maybe Rathi pointed if that one doesn't work. Which song is it that says, "You've come to kill me, but you'll end up dead"?
Overtake You.
Okay, that's what I thought. Maybe just try Pointed. It's probably not in... You found it?
Nope.
Maybe Pointing, because of tenses getting fucked up.
No, that doesn't show up until the third book.
It's in there. I specifically remember it. They're in one of the damn spaceships. Point.
Rathy was staring into the distance, and through my feed, I saw he was reviewing my field camera video of the Depthfog habitat. He pointed in my direction, nodding. I agree.
Okay, so I think you're too quiet for the people on here to hear, because it's all the way over here. So what was it? Rathy pointed in my direction, nodding. That happened in book 1.
Yep.
Murderbot had absolutely no instinctual negative reaction to Rathy pointing at it, because Martha Wells is just trying to pretend that Murderbot is more socially anxious than it actually is through
and doesn't
retconning.
love humans so much.
Yeah, and pretend she's trying to backtrack on how much Murderbot worships humans, as though it literally wasn't worshipping the Preservation Ox team from page 1 in book 1. People love to pretend that, it started to like them over time. You mean off-screen? What we were told happened off-screen? That's entirely off-screen before the story starts, so that Murderbot literally starts out worshipping them and knowing everything about them, including all of their fucking relationships with one another? Yeah, we're just lying. We're just being lied to and told that, Murderbot thinks it's scary that somebody pointed at it. It's never had this happen before. It literally happened in book 1, you lazy fucking writer. Rami took a sharp breath and said, We think, ... We weren't finished. See, we have a comma there. I was just messing up reading it. We have a comma there properly. Our process was incomplete, but we were so enthusiastic about it, ... We think they must have listened in using the security feeds and heard us talking and thought we were much further along than we actually were. So this is Martha Wells' excuse. Presumably because somebody said, this literally doesn't fucking make sense. Why the fuck would the villain not have the complete product in her hands and fire them before they finished making that? So this is her excuse against that criticism of, they were making it seem like they'd accomplished more than they actually had. That doesn't work, though, because there's still literally no final product in front to handily take. So I don't know if they can complete it. Maybe they realize it's not worth much without us to finish it. Maybe Talisi wants us to work for her again, Tapan said hopefully. Probably before she murders you, I didn't say. There's another one for you. Morrow snorted. I would rather live in a box in a station mall than work for her again. Once they had started to talk about it, it was hard for them to stop. The collective was completely divided on, and by collective, we're referring to a group marriage. A giant group marriage. The collective was completely divided on what to do, which was apparently painful for all of them, since they were used to agreeing on everything. Tapan, who according to Morrow was too naive for this existence, thought it was worth a try. Morrow, who according to Tapan was a cynical impediment to both fun and progress, thought they were screwed and should just cut their losses. Rami was undecided, which was why T had been elected leader of the collective for the duration of this problem. Rami did not seem thrilled by the collective's confidence, but was gamely trying to proceed. This isn't characterization, we're just being told. They have personality traits in relation to one single thing. Tapan is naive. Morrow is cynical. And Rami isn't either. The token non-binary character is neither cynical nor naive. You might say T's non-binary. Finally, Rami finished up with, "So that's why we want to hire you. We thought it would be better to go in with someone who could protect us, keep her crew from messing with us, show her we have backup while we negotiate." Not in dialogue, just prose. What they needed was a security company willing to bond them for a meeting and return trip and send a sec unit with them to guarantee their safety. But security companies like that are expensive and wouldn't be interested in a job this small. Literally saying, well, what they should do is become slave owners and hire a slave to use as a meat shield. But companies like that are expensive. Again, you see, we've gone back to, the company, they're so expensive. They're so skilled and expensive. Except for, when they're cheap. For all the shit. Wouldn't be interested in a job this small. They all stared at me worriedly. In the security system view, from that angle, it was obvious how small they were. They looked so soft, with all the fluffy, multicolored hair. And nervous, but not of me. That's we're literally just infantilizing them now, and using the fact that their hair is dyed, and is not their natural colors, and the vague... Martha Wells loves describing ostensibly black hair as fluffy with no other details. We're using the fact that their hair is not their natural colors as motive to infantilize them. I said, "I accept your job." Ramian, "What are you doing under there, kitty cat?" Rami and Tapan looked relieved, and Morrow, who clearly still didn't want to do this, looked resigned. She said, "How much do we pay you?" She glanced uncertainly at the others. "Can we afford you, I mean?" Art had a set of spreadsheets ready, but I didn't want to scare them off with a figure that was too high. "How much were they paying you before you were terminated?" Rami said, "It's 200 CRs per cycle for each worker for the limited term of contract." And again, we are never given any goddamn context for how long a cycle is, even now, when people are talking about how much they're getting paid. And the currency of CR, that's never come up before now, and it will never come up ever again. It's 200 CRs per cycle for each worker for the limited term of contract. It didn't sound like this would take more than a cycle. "You can pay me that." "One cycle's share of the contract." Rami sat up straight. "Really? So..."
Is that a year? Is that a week? Is that a day?
I guess it's a day? Even though saying we're getting paid XYZ per cycle
Sounds like a salary.
Sounds like a yearly fucking salary. Again, it's shit writing. If you're going to write something where you are using the word cycle instead of year or day or week, you have to tell us how long it is.
I've been reading a Transformers fic that's just fluff, and I can tell you now with confidence, just from them actually using it in context clue-filled conversation, what an orn is, what a mega orn is, what a megavorn is, what a bream is. As measurements of time, because this person actually uses them consistently and does it enough with context clues that you know exactly what the fuck they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. If you could not hear any of that through the muffling of the cardboard, my twin says they are reading a fluffy, fluff-filled Transformers fanfiction, and just from reading that single fanfiction from context clues alone, because the author uses them consistently and frequently and always consistently, they know what an orn is and a mega orn and a what?
A bream.
A bream.
Deca-orns.
A deca-orn. I mean, that's obviously just 10.
But yeah, and they're just working it into every single casual conversation by replacing regular words that we would use for these things and using it with these.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. a thing that Martha Wells is not doing in any way. It didn't sound like this would take more than a cycle. So let me say this shit by replacing cycle with day, because from this sentence I was assuming that a cycle was in fact a year. It's 200 CRs, whatever the fuck that, we don't know what that's an abbreviation of, per cycle for each worker for the limited term of contract. So they're getting paid 200 CRs a day? It didn't sound like this would take more than a cycle. You can pay me that. 1 cycle share of the contract. And it's like, that's too many words for what is actually being said. So you're hiring a bodyguard and they're like, hey, how much did you get paid when you worked at Taco Bell or whatever? And you say, $200 a day. Which even that in this economy, that's a lot of money. And then they're like, okay, you can pay me that. And they're like, and then instead of saying, one day's worth of my employment, you would say $200. 1 cycle share of the contract. Rami sat up straight. Really? Her reaction meant I'd asked for far too little, but it was too late to correct the mistake. I did need to give them a reason why I was willing to settle for a small amount, and I decided the partial truth was better. I need to go to RH, and I need an employment contract to get there. I feel like that's not something you should be telling people, because now that just seems extremely fucking fishy. If I were these people, and I was trying to hire a bodyguard, and then they were only asking for an absurdly low price, and then were saying,
"They're here to kill me or rob me blind."
No, I'm not. No. If I say I need a bodyguard, and then some random person walks up and accepts the job for like a ridiculously low amount of price, and says, "Oh yeah, I need to go over there anyways," I would be very, especially in a capitalist dystopia, which is what this is supposed to be, I'd be very suspicious that this person's not actually a bodyguard and that they're literally just taking my money so they can go over there to do shit. Like, you don't know. Why? Fan asked, and Rami nudged her by way of admonishment. Why are we? So Murderbot suddenly doesn't know that pointing at somebody is a form of agreement anymore, but it does know that Rami nudging to Pan is a form of admonishment, a word I'm shocked Murderbot even knows, with how much we're told Murderbot doesn't know. I mean, I know we don't have a right to ask, but... And then Murderbot thinks to itself in italics, even though italics in this fucking book are meant to only be used to signify dialogue, because we just have to confuse people for no reason. Don't have a right to ask. That wasn't something that had ever applied to me before Preservation Ox. They didn't ask you anything, Murderbot. They didn't say they didn't have the right to ask you anything. They literally fucking mind raped you while you were unconscious and told everybody else your fucking secrets. We are again being lied to and being told that the Preservation Ox team treated Murderbot so well that they respected its privacy and didn't ask it questions it didn't want to answer. We're just being lied to again. I told the truth again. I need to do some research there for another client. That's the truth. Murderbot's literally not lying when it says I need to do research there for another client. Another one of my slave owners. It's literally telling the truth. It's going here to do research for Mensa, its goddamn slave owner, not itself. Like art, they understood the idea of research, especially proprietary research, and they didn't ask any further questions. Rami told me they were scheduled to leave for RH during the next cycle, and said T would put in the request for the private employment voucher. I arranged to meet them in the mall near the... And again, why are they the ones who are securing this fucking voucher? Again, the whole governance, it doesn't make any fucking sense. I arranged to meet them in the mall near the access for the shuttle embarkation zone and then left. I released the security camera as soon as I was out of range. And I'm sure nobody's ever going to notice that the security camera stopped recording shit and that all of the shit is hacked up and hacked back together. Nobody's ever going to notice that because that would be inconvenient. I got back to Art and huddled in my favorite chair, and we watched episodes for the next 3 hours while I calmed down, because we're supposed to pretend that Murderbot was actually extremely panicked during that whole entire conversation, even though it wasn't, and that wasn't conveyed to us in any way, because Murderbot's not actually allowed to be socially awkward or neurodivergent in a way that actually impacts it and impacts how it actually interacts with other people. We just get told afterward, oh, and then it had to huddle in its favorite chair and watch TV until it calmed down, instead of actually showing us any of this shit for real. Again, we're just being lied to, and it's just a fundamental failure of writing of she's just telling us shit instead of actually showing us anything. Art monitored the transit ring's alert feed in case someone had realized what I was, but there was nothing. I told you so, Art said, again. Now that is about Art fucking coercing Murderbot into surgery that Murderbot didn't want, that didn't actually do anything in this situation whatsoever, because literally nobody was looking for it with a fucking ping, and it's ridiculous. I ignored it. I hadn't been detected, so now it was time to think about the rest of the plan, which now involved keeping my new clients alive. And by clients, Murderbot always means slave owners, because that's what the word client is a euphemism for. It literally always means slave owners. And then we're now on chapter 5, which is 44% of the way through this fucking story. And that's it for now. Yep. Bye-bye.